What happens at Grandma's stays at Grandma's is a model for you and your grandkids. If it's fun, it's fair game. But lately, hip pain has you grimacing more than laughing. And that's a moment you realize life's too short to put off treatment any longer.
The Joint and Spine Center is Cincinnati's leading destination for orthopedic care, with hundreds of joint replacements each year. So when a moment has the power to change the rest of your life, go to the one place with the power to change it for the better. The Christ Hospital Health Network. This changes everything.
The Pound This Podcast is brought to you by the Christ Hospital Health Network. This is the Pound This Podcast, episode 693, Amanda's Diary, Concussion Updates.
I want to lose weight, but I don't know how to get started.
What should I meal prep every week?
How do I get those sweet booty gains?
Inspiration for your healthy lifestyle. The Pound This Podcast with Amanda Valentine.
Thank you so much for listening to the Pound This Podcast. I am Amanda Valentine, and this is my diary because I don't like writing. I like talking. So a heads up, if you're brand new here, this is just an episode about me and what's personally going on in my life as far as this podcast, my business, my job, my own weight loss, my health and wellness and well-being, and my concussion and everything else. So if you're like, I don't really care, then this is not the episode for you. If you do care, cool. All right. Let's talk about all the crap that's going on with me. So last diary episode I talked about getting my concussion, which sucks, which I'm still dealing with, although I'm pretty much back to normal, quote unquote normal. Every day I still have a very loud ringing in my ears, which sucks. So if you don't know how I got a concussion, it's just a stupid story that basically I was on a Swiss ball and balancing on it and fell off, and just at the right speed and timing, perfect storm, hit my head into a door frame. And that kind of just really jumbled things up. And so it was pretty messed up for a while. And now the headaches come back if I'm doing a little bit too much, which I am catching myself now of doing too much again. I'm just such a go hard. And this week specifically, I tried going back to Pilates and I got sick again, which I just think it's the motion on a reformer, which it's nobody's fault. It's just, I guess that doesn't jive with my head, where my headache came back full force, nauseousness came back. I went on a Monday, Tuesday morning. It was pretty bad. So I took some of this prescription migraine medicine my neurologist gave me, and that made me feel a lot better and made me functional for the day. So at least it's not completely shutting me down, but as far as resting like I'm supposed to, not so good at. I am not very good at that at all. When I was forced to rest, I did, but now that it's just kind of getting back into life, it's not so great. So I need to really work on that personally. But what sucks is because it's kind of just screwing up my exercise routine. I mean, I haven't been able to really exercise in the past month and a half or so, 2 months, whatever it is at this point. So the Pilates thing this week kind of messed me up and kind of changed my game plan of kind of going back full swing into exercise. So I've just been going for walks after I'm done recording this. I'm going to go for a walk, maybe try to do, so I've been doing stretching and some body weight stuff, but not really a whole lot of lifting just because of the fear of making the concussion worse. So I'm kind of recovering from Pilates making me feel like crap, and then try to hopefully next week get more into my own exercise routine again. So, I mean, it sucks, but it's also a good thing for me to highlight of like, man, I really miss exercise. I miss being able to do that, and not from this panicked place of like, oh, I need to do it to be a certain size or, be a certain way or to lose weight, but to just because I enjoy lifting things and I want to get back to that. So that's where I am in that realm of things of just, it's just trial and error of try something. Okay, it was a little bit too much, back it off, and let's try something else. So sitting in this moment right now, still have the ringing in my ears, and I have a dull headache, but I've just kind of been living with a dull headache. And after talking to many people who have suffered from concussions, it's gonna take a while. So just something to to live through, and then hopefully have advice for people that I may come across or work with in the future that are dealing with this as well. So it could be much, much, much worse. I got my MRI. They said everything was normal. And so it's just kind of the slow healing recovery, get back to the rest, which while I was resting, I kind of rebuilt my schedule to give myself like certain times and breaks of like, okay, this is for my personal training at Cincy 360 Fitness. Okay, this is time for Pound This and Amanda Valentine Bites, which is my LLC. And, and then also try to build in time off. And I've already just totally blown that. I mean, I'm recording this podcast this morning because a meeting got canceled and I was supposed to be in a meeting right now. And I'm like, oh my God, plans fell through earlier this week for the podcast that was supposed to happen today. So then it's just constantly catching up. I'm sure you understand if you have a job. Jobs just tend to be our lives at this point. But exciting things I have going on. I'm working on a lot of guests and kind of getting things banked out in the future for Pound This. Also, I am going to be starting a second podcast, and I know this is still just such a tease, but that's going to be, I've recorded multiple episodes of that. I'm recording some this weekend and kind of getting those things all lined up, and I'm hoping to launch that in August and get that all ready to go, and hopefully you guys are interested in listening to that. And as always, if you're interested in hearing a guest or any sort of topic, I've gotten multiple messages this week of like, hey, have you talked about this? Can you talk about this? How about this person? And that is incredibly helpful. So if you have anything in mind, you can shoot me an email, amanda@amandavalentinebites.com. So I've been doing a lot of podcast stuff. I'm going to a podcast conference in Nashville the first week of August, which is also my birthday week. So if you're in Nashville and you're listening to this, let me know. I'm excited. Podcast movement's always awesome. I've been to 2 of them, but I've always gone with the radio station, not as like me as my own person and networking for myself and learning things for myself. So I'm pretty hyped about that. And just to even kind of spend my birthday in Nashville. So being like this little business owner now, which is also wild to me, and I'm learning through that. I'm like, okay, well, I want to go to this conference. And so this is a business expense, because I'm paying for everything and it ain't cheap. But I'm like, but it's also my birthday week and I can drive there and I don't have to fly. So it's just kind of like, okay, well, that seemed like a good decision to go. And I've got a lot of value out of going before. So I'm pretty hyped about that. And multiple people have suggested to me throwing my Venmo out there. If anybody wants to buy me a coffee or a beverage for my birthday, which sounds so gross to be like, give me money to buy me a drink for my birthday. But if you're interested, my Venmo is at Ms. Valentine, M-I-Z. So why not throw it out there? YOLO, right? But otherwise, I plan on just hanging out in Nashville. And I've been Googling gyms to go into Nashville just because that's the stuff that I find exciting of like, oh, well, let me check out some gyms. I've done that pretty much everywhere I've traveled, but I haven't traveled in a long time. So I'm also pretty excited about that. I mean, I haven't been on an airplane since 2019 and I'm just itching for some travel. And speaking of that, I do have some other ideas on deck for Pound This. I actually have some meetings next week to see where, and again, this is also vague and whatever, but I'm sorry, but I am working on some cool stuff for this podcast that may involve some travel and really kind of highlighting some awesome people and weight loss stories and stories of becoming healthy. And I'm really hoping that pans out and finding some funds to make some of these things happen as I'm learning from, being an entrepreneur and doing this podcast on my own, which is, I'll be honest, an incredible amount of work. It's always been an incredible amount of work, but having to do all of it. So I'm a salesperson and I'm a social media person and I do all the email stuff and like doing all of it and then creating the content and booking the interviews. Like I've done interviews with other people and they're like, well, I'm an agent and then I'm going to get you in touch with their people and teams. And I'm like, do people really have like people and teams and like all this crazy stuff? Or is that just something that like you say to make it seem like that you're a big deal? But I will tell you, I do not have people. I have Emily, who's amazing, who's helping me with trying to get sponsorships and stuff for this podcast. But as far as content and everything else, it's just your girl here putting in all the work and, trying to make things happen. And I'm just such an idea person. And was a strong suit of mine working in my radio career for so long, of coming up with creative, fun ideas. And there's so many things I want to do, but then it's just like, okay, well, how do I feasibly get them done when it's just me? And how do I feasibly get them done on the teeniest, tiniest budget possible? Because your girl dreams big and has some cool things I want to do. So it's trying to navigate all of those things, and things that whenever you're following podcasts or Instagrams or TikToks and people talking about owning a small business and making it work, that talking about the hardships of it in dead end after dead end, after no money, after, there's not enough resources, after there's not enough hours in the day, you're just like, oh my God. Woo! I need a drink. It's bonkers. If you are a small business owner, entrepreneur, man, I salute you. It is some difficult work. It's very rewarding when things pay off, but dang. And, which is why I talk to so many small business owners and entrepreneurs on this podcast, of just, you could tell if people just that are doing these things have their heart and soul into it, because it certainly ain't for a giant paycheck, especially talking about health and fitness and stuff like that. And it's not, if you're doing it from the heart, it seems like you're not making an insane amount of money. So, so many good people that really care about helping, and, which fuels me to keep doing this podcast and talking to those people and bringing those people to, if you're listening, that you're like, man, I need somebody to help me on my journey, and hopefully I can bring you somebody. So trying to figure all those out. I wish you guys could see, and I guess I could have recorded this and put a video up with this, and I'm so bad at video. So bad at video. That is a weak spot that I'm working on, but just notebooks covering my desk right now, because I'm in my home studio, and just Post-it notes. I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 Post-it notes. 15, sorry. No, 16. They're all stuck all around me, of like, that's just on my desk, of, reminders and to-do lists and everything else. And it's a lot. And that's why I need to build in rest and breaks. And I want to pass that message along for you too, if you're not giving yourself any time to chill, because I know I do better after resting, but yet I don't allow myself those things, especially trying to get this second podcast off the ground. I'm like, well, there is no time to rest, because you need to put all this front end work into something. So it's, recording podcasts on Sundays now, when normally that's my meal prep day, and try to rest. And now it's filled with podcast recordings and everything else. So yeah, but I'm excited about it. I'm excited. I think it'll be cool. It's fun for me, and hopefully it'll be fun to listen to. What else? Working with Sarah, my coach, who is going to be on the podcast a couple days after this podcast is released. That's really going great, and it's awesome for me to have, accountability buddy of my own while I'm sifting through a very busy, chaotic life, and things are going very well right there. I'm kind of a little bit stagnant. My measurements and weight hasn't really done anything for the past several weeks, but your girl has been dealing with a concussion, and that's kind of, messed with my movement. But my food has been on point, and I've been really good with that, actually. I'm a little concerned because I haven't had alcohol in so long, but, just because I feel like I'm not a huge drinker anymore. I used to be in my 20s, but my hangovers now are the worst thing on earth. They are awful. And I can't even imagine how bad a hangover would be while I have a concussion. So that's a hard pass, but I probably will be drinking when I'm in Nashville in August. So I'm like, oh God, well, I'm going to have to figure that out because I'm going to have like 2 White Claws and be passed out on the floor. Well, so we'll see how that goes, but maybe just avoiding the drinking. So, I mean, that hasn't really been a challenge for me in the past several months as far as, my own weight loss and health and fitness, which I have had questions if I'm in maintenance right now, if I'm in weight loss mode, and I am in weight loss mode. And, I've lost the weight that I gained through COVID, and now it's not even like for me to get like skinny or I need to be smaller or I need to hit this certain number. It's just because I'm feeling really good in my own body and I want to see where else I can go with that. So it's, even though the scale hasn't been moving and my measurements haven't been making huge movements, I've been feeling really good. I've been feeling really confident. I've been feeling really comfortable in my own body. If you've been following me on Instagram at You Can Pound This or on Facebook at Amanda Valentine Bites, you saw them posting bikini pictures and shorts and everything else of just like, man, get out of that comfort zone because, I'm going to be 39 in a couple of weeks. And I'm like, I'm going to be 40 next year. And then before I know it, I'm going to blink and I'm going to be 50. And I don't want to look back and be like, oh my God, my body was in this shape. And I thought it would look too bad. And I didn't take pictures and I didn't enjoy it. And I didn't like live my best life. And I don't want to have those regrets. So throwing it out there now. And I've really been doing a good job of loving myself more and appreciating my body and feeling good in my body. Although I am covered in tick bites. Oh my God. I was going to talk about this on Instagram and then I didn't. If anybody knows anything about ticks, and don't freak me out, by the way, don't write me a message, tell me I'm going to die. But I went and checked out this retreat center because I'm thinking about doing a retreat, which if you are interested in doing a retreat that I build out for a whole weekend, also let me know that you're like, hell yeah, sign me up for that. But there's trails and stuff. This place is out in the middle of like 150 acres. And this is like an hour and a half outside of Cincinnati. And there was a trail, and walk the trail to see like, is trail running like possible part of this thing of like, what could we do out in the woods as part of this retreat? Because I love nature so much, and just covered in damn ticks. And I didn't think I had it, and I had my hair in braids. I didn't even think about it. I go outside so much, and ticks have never been a problem before. So I wasn't wearing a hat or anything, but did a quick tick check. I mean, I'm wearing full length leggings, athletic shoes, tank top. It's the middle of the summer, but I'm not wearing, I had my legs covered. So I get home and I feel something crawling on me, like fell out of my bra. Tick, got that one. There's a tick attached in my freaking belly button. And so Mike, my husband, had to get some tweezers and get that one out for me. Did another tick check. Don't see anything. We're cool, right? Thinking I'm cool. No, a couple days later, feel something. I'm like, what is that? Like, they look like these are tiny little ticks, by the way. They're teeny tiny little ticks, not like the big old fat ticks. I feel like I've had those ticks when I was a kid. And it felt like scabs. No, on my left side, like abdomen, 2 ticks attached. Get those little suckers out with tweezers. Did another tick check. Mike found a tick on my back attached. Got that out. So this is over a week ago, and where those little ticks were on my left abdomen, there's just like 2 big red bumps there now, and they're kind of itchy. So there's that. Last Friday, I went and hung out with my friend Nikki at her pool at her like condo, which you can see those pictures. That's where my hot bitch summer bikini photos are. And we're sitting there chatting on the side of the pool, and I'm like, pop a leg up, and I'm like, what is this? And it kind of looked like a skin tag or something on the inside of my thigh, like right next to, the candy store. And I'm like, it's a freaking tick, and pulled another tick off of me on my inner thigh. And then I got to have a real fun tick check after that. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Am I going to go from concussion to Lyme disease? What the hell is what? I'm going to have to shave my damn head or something. I have not found any more ticks. I've been checking. I'm seeing Shannon tomorrow. She's doing my hair and be like, yeah, you fry. If there's anything left in here, I don't know how there is. I've taken so many showers. I've done so many tick checks. Hopefully they're gone. If they're not, we're going to bleach them out tomorrow. It is always something, man. Always something. Getting a concussion, re-injuring myself at a concussion, getting tics. It's fine. It's fine. I'm fine. So I'm also dealing with that. I'm keeping an eye on these tick bites. If they get a little too funky, they said that if they like start to like look swollen or whatever, that's when you got to go to the doctor and they got to give you a bunch of antibiotics. So I'm keeping an eye on them. So that's happening. What else is going on? Just continuing doing personal training and learning as much as I can at Cincy 360 Fitness. If you are in the Cincinnati area and you are looking for in-person personal training, I am open for a few more clients. So I would love to train you if you're interested. You can just send an email straight to me, amanda@amandavalentinbites.com. And we can get you in for a consultation. The first 3 sessions are $45. So you can come in and check it out and see your vibe and see how that feels. And I don't know, I'm just kind of rethinking things because, I mean, this is so new to me. I've only been doing in-person personal training at the gym this year. So, and I'm just so incredibly hard on myself that I wish I was better at everything, but I'm just learning. And, something that I would probably recommend if you're listening to this, because you can do half-hour sessions or hour-long sessions. And I know it's more of a cost to do an hour-long session, but I'm like, man, I just think it would be so valuable. I think I'm going to recommend this to people coming in of like, hey, maybe even just like once a month or whatever feels comfortable. Like, let's do an hour session, but let's work out for half hour and let's spend that half hour talking about food and nutrition and going over food journals and talking about all of those things, because I feel like that is such a huge part of all of this. And when you're working out with somebody for a half hour and you got somebody on each side of them, like, I mean, you literally have 30 minutes maximum and you have to, do your warm up, do some dynamic exercises, some activation exercises, and you got to actually do the thing. And then you're just like, okay, bye. And then schedule next time you're coming in, then bye. There's not a whole ton of time to like really take a deep dive into those things. Obviously we chat about them while we're working out, and I'm more than happy to chat about those things, but to really sit down and kind of go over journals and stuff like that, I wish there was more time for that, or I had more time for that. So that's something, again, if that's something you're interested in, or even if you're listening to this and you're already a client of mine, but you already know that I'm cool with, if you're a client of mine at the gym, of like text messages and showing me what you're doing and stuff like that. It's just, I know that this journey is hard and it's so much more than just the movement and exercise. You're talking 80+% goes into the nutrition. And I definitely want to be able to help with those things, because I mean, that the nutrition part is what, is the main staple of my own journey of, navigating food and my own issues around food and my emotions around food and everything else. So, I'm kind of thinking through those sorts of things too, of like, what kind of things can I offer those helps? I'm like, is it a seminar at the gym? Is it a virtual seminar? I mean, these are things that like all of this stuff is just constantly flooding my brain of like, what things can I do that are useful or that would be beneficial? And that's where, I'm asking you what would help you or what would you attend or something like that. You know what I mean? And I mean, I was going to be completely honest. I can't do everything for free either, because I got to pay my bills. And that's hard for me too, because I'm such a people pleaser. If you listen to the episode I did like a month or so ago about the Enneagram and how I'm a helper, I'm such a people pleaser, and all I want to do is help, but it's at the same time of like, how do I do that? But at some point I'm going to be like, but you guys, I gotta pay my electric bill. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta find a way to like make money doing this somehow. And that is just such a learning curve for me. And I'm just being brutally honest. I mean, that's just a learning curve for me and such a growth thing for me of like, I've never been a salesperson. I mean, my entire career has been essentially a content creator and and a personality on the radio. And that's just how I know how to operate. And that's how I know how to help people. So kind of building that back end or, that business funnel and all that other stuff of like, and I've gotten so much advice on it. And then I'm just in my own damn way where I'm like, that's great, but I don't want to do it that way. And then I'll be like, oh my God, but what can I do? And I'm not using other people as an example, because then I'm like totally on my own. And I don't know, that's just a peek into my brain. So I guess if you're like, yeah, I would pay to come to a seminar, and I'm not talking like insane amount of money, but like, yeah, something that you would find valuable. Your feedback is incredibly important to me. Amanda@AmandaValentineBites.com. So, I mean, that's mostly the gist of it. I mean, with my own health and fitness, just trying to get fitness back on board. I'm reading a book right now. I don't have it in front of me. God, I don't remember her name, but it's called Lifting Heavy Things. I asked her to be a guest on this podcast, and she said, not right now. And I just started reading the book, and it's incredible about, I've just recently in that Enneagram podcast learned about trauma-informed yoga, and yoga is not really my jam, but this woman wrote this book about trauma-informed lifting, and lifting is my jam, about how, if you've suffered from traumatic experiences in your life, whatever that is, to all varying degrees, how, you hold that trauma in your body. Another book I got, which I'm about to read after that one, is called, I do have this one in front of me, The Body Keeps the Score. And it says brain, mind, and body in the healing of trauma, of basically how you kind of hold that trauma in your body. But this other book, The Lifting Heavy Things, she's a personal trainer and she studies trauma. And it's like, how can you release those things in the body through lifting and exercising at the gym? So I'm incredibly excited to read that book. And I feel like that's going to click some things for me as a person who has survived all sorts of trauma in so many different ways. So, I'm kind of excited to kind of bring that to my bank of knowledge of things that I can do, and hopefully things that I can bring to the gym. As I kind of bring my own flavor of things, as a personal trainer of, just talking about weight loss and emotions and mindset, and, so much of what I'm learning that I bring to the table as a personal trainer is just so much of the mind, where obviously we're working out the body and there's movement, but, it's just your mind has to be in the right place to come work your body out too. You know what I mean? So I just really love the aspect of getting your mind in the right place, and those tips and tricks and things, motivators and things like that, of how you navigate getting your brain in the right place. And then also now how you move your body and brain so they work together. So always reading and listening to, and I'm glad I can read now. So with my concussion, at the peak of it, I couldn't read at all. Like, it just scrambled my brain, made me feel like I was going to barf. So I am pretty excited to read. I do kind of have like a limited time, like after about a half hour reading, because I try to read before bed. My brain's like, yeah, no. But so I feel like I'm kind of getting better in that aspect too. And just, always learning, I guess I should say, rather than reading, of wanting to know more and to be the best that I can be for myself and for other people. So yeah, I guess that I'm sure I'm missing other things. But that's pretty much it. Where I'm at with my, and also, again, if you're interested in health coach, because Sarah's such a great coach, it's teamfitwithme.com, talking about my nutrition and stuff like that. So I check in with Sarah once a week. I actually checked in with her this morning. I did my weight and measurements and photos and sent all that stuff off and talked about, hey, I had some setbacks this week with my fitness, and hopefully to get back on the wagon next week. And, you just got to keep rolling with the punches, because you're going to get punched a lot in life. And that's where it's like on this journey. And I've just learned, especially like with weight loss or whatever, of like, things are going to happen. Things are going to not go exactly the way you want them. Things aren't going to be linear, and you just got to learn how to navigate around those. And especially after 2020, I feel like I'm much stronger in that arena, where I already felt like that was doing pretty good with that, but I feel much better with that now. So yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. If you ever have any questions, again, or feedback, appreciated so much. It's Amanda@AmandaValentineBites.com, or if you're interested in personal training here in Cincinnati. And that's it. I hope you have a great day. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I appreciate it so freaking much. And I'll talk to you later.
For info on health coaching and more, go to AmandaValentineBites.com.